Okay, so when you think of a Nile crocodile, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Probably a huge, powerful hunter, right? One of Africa's top predators. And you're not wrong, but there is so much more to this incredible animal than just its fearsome reputation. So let's dive in and really get to know the surprising life of the Nile crocodile. And to get us started, here's a real head scratcher for you. You've got a massive adult crocodile. We're talking over 2,000 pounds, a literal ton of animal. How on earth can it survive and even thrive on less food each day than a pelican that weighs maybe 20 pounds soaking wet? It sounds impossible, right? Well, that incredible efficiency is a huge part of its story, and we're going to break down exactly how it pulls it off. First things first, let's look at the hardware. We need to talk about the physical tools that make the Nile crocodile an absolute master of its environment. Its body is just a perfectly engineered hunting machine, built for both explosive power and unbelievable patience. And the sheer scale we're talking about here is just mind-blowing. These crocodiles can get enormous, over 20 feet long, which is longer than most family cars, and they can weigh as much as 1 ton. But don't let that size fool you. In the water, they are incredibly fast and agile. And here's the cool part. They don't just hunt with their eyes. Their skin is covered in these amazing sensors that can detect the tiniest change in water pressure. So any little movement nearby, they know it. This makes them the ultimate ambush predator, just waiting for that perfect moment to strike. So, what does a hunter this good actually eat? Well, that totally depends on how old it is. You see, a crocodile's diet changes in a huge way over its lifetime, and it's actually a pretty brilliant survival strategy. Just look at this progression. As a tiny hatchling, it's all about small stuff: insects, spiders, snails. As it gets a little bigger, into the juvenile stage, it graduates to frogs and fish. Then, as a subadult, the menu really starts to open up to include birds and medium-sized mammals. And finally, as a full-grown adult, well, pretty much anything that comes to the water for a drink is fair game, even massive prey like zebras and buffalo. This changing menu is genius because it means they're never competing with their own kids for food. And here's a real curveball for you. You'd think they're pure carnivores, right? But nope, scientists have actually observed them eating fruit. Why? Well, they might be doing it for some extra nutrients, or it could even help with their digestion. It's a totally unexpected twist that just goes to show we still have so much to learn about these amazing animals. Okay, so let's circle back to that wild question from the beginning. This slide lays it all out. Because crocodiles are cold-blooded, their metabolism runs at a super slow pace. They don't have to burn tons of energy just to stay warm like we do. The result? An 8-foot crocodile only needs about 2.5 pounds of food a day. A pelican, on the other hand, is warm-blooded and needs almost 3 times that much just to keep its engine running. Crocodiles are basically the ultimate energy-saving machines. All right, so moving on from hunting and eating, you might be surprised to learn that crocodiles have a pretty complex social life. It's not just a chaotic free-for-all. There's actually a hidden social structure that dictates how they interact. Now, to really get their social scene, you gotta know 2 key ideas. First, you have the home range. Think of this as a croc's entire neighborhood, the whole area it wanders around in. But within that, there's a core area. This is more like their private property, their backyard, and that is the spot they will fiercely defend from any other crocodile that tries to move in. And here's where it gets really fascinating. Their behavior totally changes depending on where they are. On land, you'll often see them being pretty social, hanging out together in big groups, all soaking up the rays on a sunny beach. They seem totally fine with each other, sharing the best spots. It looks pretty peaceful, almost like a community gathering. But the second they slide back into the water, whoa, it's a completely different story. That peaceful vibe is gone. The water is their place of business. It's where they hunt, it's where they find mates, and in there, it's all about territory. The big dominant males patrol their core areas and will aggressively chase off any rivals. So they have this incredible dual social life: chill on land, territorial in the water. So how does a tiny little creature become a 2,000-pound giant? Well, that journey is packed with danger, and it all starts with a surprisingly devoted parent. The mother crocodile is one of the most dedicated moms out there. She builds this careful nest, lays her eggs, and then for about 3 months, she guards it with her life, fending off any predators without even eating. And then, when she hears her babies start to chirp inside the eggs, she carefully digs them up. And in this amazing show of gentleness, she uses those powerful jaws to carry her tiny hatchlings to the water. It's a nurturing side you just wouldn't expect. And just look at these numbers. It's almost hard to believe how small they start out.
A brand new hatchling is only about a foot long and weighs less than a tennis ball. To think that this little thing, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, is one day going to be the absolute king of the river is just incredible. All right, for our final piece of the puzzle, let's step out of the river and into human history. Because the Nile crocodile isn't just an animal. For thousands of years, it has also been a powerful symbol, especially for one of the world's most incredible ancient civilizations. This quote from Egyptologist Salima Ikram really sets the stage perfectly. For the ancient Egyptians, animals were so much more than just, well, animals. They were seen as being filled with supernatural gifts, basically as living vessels for the power of the gods themselves. And believe it or not, crocodiles were right up there among the most worshipped creatures. Certain crocodiles were thought to be the physical form of a god on Earth. They were housed in temples, fed the best food, and when they died, they were mummified with the same reverence as a pharaoh. People also offered millions of smaller, mummified crocodiles as gifts to the gods, which just shows you how deep that spiritual connection really was. So there you have it. We've seen the crocodile as a hyper-efficient hunter, a complex social animal with a split personality, a caring mother, and even a divine being. It's so much more than just a scary reptile in the water. So the next time you think of a Nile crocodile, which of these amazing sides will you remember?